Hello. Hey everybody, it's Ixie. What's up? Hi Gaz. I don't even know what this is, but I'm excited. Awesome. Well, you're going to find out. Daniel Palmer doesn't know either. Fun. It's a surprise, I guess. Urko Knox. Hi Ixie. Hello. Andrew Taylor. Queen, queen, queen. Thank you. I'm wearing my... How's everybody doing? It's Friday. It's Good Friday. This is a very, very good Friday. I don't know about you, but I've had a very good Friday. Hey, Tony! Tony is one of my patrons. John Kendall. Hey, what's up? Brandon, another wonderful patron. Hello. And Sentient, another patron. Hello. Or howdy, I should say. Howdy, y'all. Coming at you from Austin, Texas. That's right. Patrick Booth. I like the new tune. Reminds me of late 90s Massive Attack. Ooh, that is quite a compliment. Thank you. I do love Massive Attack. I don't know if they influenced me. I can't remember. You'll find out why. I wrote this track a long time ago, but I probably listened to Massive Attack then. Not a Films. Hey, love your vibes. Thank you. James Rooney, love the Closer video. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're not going to be talking about Nine Inch Nails in this live stream, but we will get to a Nine Inch Nails live stream soon because I have some ideas. But thank you. Hey, Steve, what's up? Another great patron. Greg West. Hello. And Beguile. Hello. Another patron. Howdy, howdy. Awesome. So while people are sort of filing in, I'll tell you what this is. Will Lucas. Hey. Nikon Will. Oh, wonderful. A new local friend in Tone Electronics. Hello from Portugal. Wonderful. Wow, I wonder what time it is there. And Darius. Oh, hey. Happy Friday. Yes. So Siberia is a track that I produced when I was 17 and I just released it. And that was almost 20 years ago. So I wanted to do a live stream where I showed you the guts of this song and told you a little bit more about it, why I decided to release it, why I didn't all those years. We can look at the composition of it as well as the production. I produced it in Reason Studios, and then I took that and put it into Logic, and I'll tell you why. So I basically double dipped into 2 DAWs to make this track. It's midnight in Portugal. Wow. Well, thank you so much for staying up for this. I hope it will be worth your while. H. Rampike. Hello. Andrew Taylor says, wow. Harry Hogg. Hey, have you ever considered doing videos on music theory? Yes. Yes. In fact, that was the whole reason I started my channel. But I got sucked down the spiral. But I have a Patreon now, and I'm working on some other ways that I can make more time so that I can make more videos. And I'm teaching as well. So I definitely want everyone to understand what I'm talking about if they wish to. So that's definitely a goal. It's midnight in Scotland. Hi, Lauren. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you also for staying up. Well. So, just a quick background on Siberia. So, Descartes from South Korea, 8 in the morning. All right. So yeah, we can do just a kind of a quick Q&A. If you haven't listened to the track yet, it's on Spotify. It is on Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, and iTunes, but it's linked to the wrong Ixie. There's another Ixie, but it's correct on Spotify. It's also on my Bandcamp, and unfortunately, bandcamp.ixiemusic.com was taken, so it's Ixie Musics with an X. And today's Bandcamp Friday, so if you love the track and you want to download it, you can do that, and everything will go to me. Some people have already bought my track, and I cried. That's never happened. I mean, I've never released music before, and I was just not expecting that yet. So it just means so much to me. Everybody who's listened, thank you. This is really cool. So someone asked me where did I study music? I studied music all my life. I took piano lessons when I was a kid. I was writing songs since I was 5. We had a piano in my house, and my school that I went to was very music centric. So we were all playing instruments and singing, and I was studying under a jazz multi-instrumentalist who was brilliant. And I played the clarinet and sang and all sorts of stuff. And then I went to school for music composition and theory. The theory part was an accident. I just went for composition, but I guess that's a part of it. So I didn't study music production, which is something I probably would have done if I'd known that that's what I was doing. But I literally didn't know. I thought I was just composing with a computer. I just thought this was my instrument. So you are definitely not too late, Harry Hogg, to start with music. It's never too late. I am 36 years old and I just released my first single. It's never too late. So before I keep going on, I want to just make sure, obviously you can all hear me, but I want to make sure you can hear this. I'm going to play a chord. So if you heard an atmospheric sound, give me a thumbs up or say, yes, I heard it. I tested it, but I just want to be sure. Things have to be so particularly just right to stream properly. Please say you can hear it. No? Oh, really? Okay. Oh, how about now? I'm waiting for the chat to catch up. All right. I forgot I didn't add that audio to my regular webcam scene. Okay, well, great. I'm glad. Yay! Thank the OBS gods. OBS is the program I'm using. Sounds icy and cold, says Gaz. Yes, it does. That's exactly what I thought. The video itself is a tiny bit laggy. Okay, thank you for that feedback. Let me go ahead and drop the bitrate down just a little bit and see if that helps. But the sound is the most important, I think, so we will just do the best we can. Awesome, awesome. So maybe we should start with, if you have listened to the track and you have any questions. I don't know if anyone has questions. Otherwise, I can just start showing you how I made it and what I was trying to do 20 years ago with this track. May Trent Reznor protect the connection. Yes, please, Trent. So, while I wait for any questions, this track, I wrote this. I was 17 years old. I had gotten into like trance, melodic anthemic trance when I was about 15 years old. My dad's on the chat, so he's going to know all this. My dad actually was instrumental in making this happen, so I'm glad you're here, Dad. And I had been writing songs on the piano and doing some vocals and writing some lyrics. They were bad. They were really, really bad. I'm not a lyricist. But I was mostly writing piano instrumentals, and I was doing that. It'd been like 10 years of doing that, like age 5 to 15. And then I went to Europe with my family, and I remember going to a record store and I bought like these giant stacks of melodic trance CDs, and I just like fell in love with it. And I wanted to make my own trance. That was the natural progression. So my dad got me some software. He got me my first MIDI keyboard. And then I started writing songs. And it was just like relentless. I couldn't stop. I made so many songs. But what I was doing was just arranging samples at the time. But being a composer, I really wanted to be able to play my own stuff. I'm seeing a YouTube error. Okay, well. just going to keep going. So I really wanted to write my own melodies and, make my own drums and everything. So then Dad bought me Acid Planet. No, not Acid Planet. Acid Planet was the forum where you could post your music. So that gave me a little more flexibility, but I quickly outgrew that. And then I remember he bought me Reason. And I remember going to like Guitar Center with him, and we were looking at like Ableton or Reason. And I can't remember the reason that he chose Reason for me, but that's what we went with. And I started with Reason 2.0. I think it was the year 2001, maybe 2002. And that just opened the floodgates. There was definitely a learning curve technically. So what you're seeing here on the screen, this is Reason. So, but it was really exciting just to have all the tools that I really wanted to have. I could hook up my MIDI keyboard and I could make my own everything. And I learned how to use the drum machine. So I made trance for probably a year, and then I realized, like, I really love slow grooves. And I don't even know really what my influences were, but I think I was listening to Enigma a lot, and Enigma is really, down tempo, very atmospheric. And so I wanted to make music more like that. So that's when I wrote Siberia. So it's an instrumental. And it has just always felt like a very me song. Like I just did what I wanted to do, and I didn't feel held back by any expectations. And it's very, very pretty. I really liked pretty music back then. And I got to use one of my favorite chord progressions. And all these years, I've sort of felt like it was a very iconic ICSI song. Even though maybe I wouldn't write it now, it still has a lot of meaning for me. So I decided to release it today after all this time because it's symbolic. It's like symbolic of my growth and development as a musician. And it is sort of a way of honoring that time in my life and that version of me that was so scared to really put myself out there, who would never have thought about actually releasing music, never would have thought that highly of myself. So, now that I've released it, I feel like I can really like move forward. But I still like it. I don't know if it's dated or not, but I still really like it. And it felt good to release. And one of the reasons I didn't release it is because I just couldn't get it mixed right. I didn't even know how to mix, and I was way too intimidated. But it was mostly self-doubt. So just know that if you're dealing with self-doubt, as you grow and as you get to know yourself better, it's not going to be like that forever. Eventually, you're going to realize that what other people think or what their criticisms of you are, they really don't matter. Constructive feedback is one thing, but if someone is critical, it's really nothing that you need to internalize or worry about. Just do what feels right to you. Make the art you want to make, and people that like it, they're going to appreciate it. So let me just check the chat, make sure I didn't miss anything important. Enigma. Everyone's talking about Enigma. Yes. I really loved Enigma. All right. So here is the original Reason file. So you can see up here, I think, it says Siberia. And this is so trippy to look at. So some of this is going to be like really obvious to any of you who are producers, but I know that there's a lot of different folks on the chat. So I'm going to just give a quick rundown of what's happening here. So this up here is supposed to be the mixer where, each track would have its own channel with its own volume fader, its own set of effects knobs and all sorts of controls. As you can see, there's only one. And that's because way back in 2001, the mixer was just this. Let me see if I can expand this. This is all Reason had. So it had 14 different channels or tracks. So as you can see, each one of these is a different instrument. It's a synth or a drum machine or something like that. And then I have some little controls here for reverb and delay, volume, or gain. Actually, I don't think this is a gain. A little bit of EQing, some treble and bass, but pretty basic. And then up here is where I sent my reverbs and delays and then I could control them individually up here. So I could have like 1 or 2 different reverbs instead of the same reverb, or like the duplicated reverb on every single channel, sort of just more efficient. You can see here that I put an EQ on the whole mixer. I was trying to EQ different frequency bands and had no idea what I was doing. And you can see that there's this like, it's basically just a straight line. And I literally was just like, I give up. And down here is the drum machine. So it's called Redrum, and each one of these little buttons is a 16th note. So I can just turn these on or off at will and come up with a pattern. So I can maybe show you, let's see if I can figure out what. Okay, so here's the basic drum pattern that I have. So you can see right now I have selected the kick. And here's where it's falling. It's falling on this 16th note and this 16th note. No, that's not the kick, sorry. That's the snare, or click, or snap as I called it. This is the kick. So I could change this right now to something that's just 4 on the floor. Not nearly as interesting, right? Let's undo that. So you can hear this is very, there's a lot of reverb on this, and that was a problem I was suffering in a lot of my music, is I just saturated everything with reverb, wanting it to sound deep and good, and it was just making things super messy and muddy because there's just so much extra noise coming off of these signals. But that's kind of what I was dealing with. I guess maybe I can go ahead and just play you a little bit of it and show you kind of what this is made of. Went from teardrop to closer really quick. Yeah, when I changed the pattern, that's funny. Deep thumps. Yeah, I actually the way I made the snap is I EQ'd a kick. I wanted something that had I don't know, you don't even know how to explain it. I just wanted it to sound almost like a snap, almost like a rim shot, but like something totally unique. So I took a kick and I messed with it. I pitched it up. I think this is the original pitch, and I did all sorts of weird things to it. I was really into like mangling things. Maybe not mangling, but I always would take like a sample and then I would try to change it, make it my own, or just make it sound interesting to me, something that was a little bit unusual. So the main part of this song, I would say, is the drone. So here's how it started. Oh. It kept my old kept the drum beat that I messed with. That sounded so weird without the syncopation. Do y'all remember what syncopation is? Okay, now how do I get back to that? Is this it? No. Duh, 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 duh. Almost. There we go. All right. So that's kind of how it started. I remember when I started it, I was like, since I was listening to a lot of trance, I was also listening to psychedelic trance. It wasn't called psytrance back then. It was psychedelic trance. And it always had lots of crazy effects. So I just thought I had to make effects. So I guess maybe there was one thing in here that I was operating from sort of an expectation, like I'm supposed to have crazy effects in my song. I don't think it really fits, so you'll see how I sort of shortened that in the final version. But here is the sound I found. Nope. I did all sorts of stuff to this. So up here, this is generated from my favorite synth in Reason called the Maelstrom. It's a grain table synthesizer. I still don't know exactly what that means. I'm definitely more an intuitive musician when it comes to this stuff. So I just kind of twiddle knobs, and then sometimes that gets me where I want to go, and sometimes it doesn't. But as you can see, there's two different oscillators here. So this synth always felt to me like it had so much depth because I could have two very different waveforms going at the same time. So breath voices. Here I can kind of turn this off and you can hear. And then if I... So this sound is like both of those together. So I probably messed a lot with all of these different levels of attack, delay, sustain, release. The frequency knob you can see has a little green square around it, and that means that I automated myself turning the knob up and down. So you can kind of see that here. It's a little hard to see against the red, but there's a little line going up, and that shows sort of the curve of my automation. And then I can even double click on it, and I can even like change things if I wanted to, like manually edit what I did. I can change it there. I forgot to walk you guys through this whole thing. So this is the rack. So this is where all the instruments are and all the effects. And then this is the sequencer. So this is where, you know, basically all the notes are. This is where the song is structured. Okay. So I've got my MIDI keyboard hooked up right now. That's why you can kind of hear me playing things. All I have to do is select one of these tracks and I can... So let me just check on the chat, see how y'all are doing. That drone is the same note as that first MIDI cello note from The Great Below. The same pitch. It's a different patch, but it does have similarities. They're both drones. The one in The Great Below is way more sickly sounding, which is great. So let me play a little bit more of it. Now, since this is MIDI, I can't just start it in the middle of the song. Certain notes that are held over, like the drone, won't be there. Basically, they have to be triggered. So I have to start it at the beginning. So I'm going to let this play for just maybe a minute, give you a sense of what's kind of going on in the song, and show you some of the melodic themes. And then I can show you how I finally made this song ready for a release, which I did in a different program. So... So I have not listened to this original version in such a long time. It really changed. So I didn't really change the composition too much, but I did so much in terms of the engineering and mixing of it to bring certain things out and clarify things. What I hear in this mix is that it's very boomy, lots of low end, but really muddy. The high end is just really not there. I wanted things to be very crisp because I was sort of imagining like an icy landscape. And the main synth lead, it's sort of like a chorus almost, is completely buried. So I'm just going to very quickly switch over to Logic to show you kind of what it became with proper mixing. Then we can go back and we can look at some of the themes and melodies and everything. And then go back to Logic and look at the mixing. So now I'm going to switch over here to Logic. Okay. So I bounced all of those tracks individually as wave or AIFs. Basically, I froze everything. And then I pulled it into Logic. And the reason I did that is just because having spent so many years with this song and hitting my head up against a wall over and over again in Reason, I just felt like I needed to get out of Reason and into Logic and kind of start fresh. So that's why I did it. I don't necessarily recommend doing it this way because it created a lot of extra work for me. It took me 4 months to mix this. Also, I was learning a lot of things. So you'll hear that I did shorten the beginning, but I want to just give you an idea of kind of what it sounds like now. This is before mastering though, so it's a little bit more compressed, mastered. Let me see if I can turn this up for you just for now. There she be. That's kind of what I always wanted it to sound like, but I just didn't know how to do it. So it's been great reading all of your feedback and questions. That was so fun. Someone asked, what is the knob going back and forth on the left and right channel? That's just panning automation. So basically, I can show you, I did a lot of panning automation on this particular, so I kind of nicknamed everything. So the harp is the da 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 da, which is impossible to sing. So you can see here, this is panning, and I did this by hand. It took such a long time, but I really wanted things to feel, I really wanted it to feel immersive. I wasn't able to get it quite as immersive as I wanted, but it's definitely like got a lot closer to where I wanted it to be. And this was part of it. Just trying to get things to just kind of sort of just sparkle around you. So that's what that was, going back and forth like crazy. And you can see these are volume automations here. So this is just manual, just as me sort of creating space for different things or bringing certain things out. My songs always end up with so many layers, and that's part of why it's been difficult for me to create a clean mix where everything has space to breathe. So I can show you a little bit of how I did that, but I also want to make sure that I show you maybe some of the ways I started all of this and how I made this in the first place. So let's switch back here. And thank you all for your feedback. It's just so amazing to share this with everybody, and I'm glad you liked it. Reason. So, since I've got my MIDI controller plugged in, I can kind of show you what I did. So there's a few different melodic themes that I sort of built the track around. The first one, well, the drone. I started with the drone. I often start with drones. And our boy Trent Reznor also loves drones. Probably influenced me, but I love drones so much. And so I started with the drone. Here it is. Oof. So I basically have that going for almost the entire song. It does actually change when I get to the chorus, or the do-do-do-do-do-do-do. I wanted it to move with the bass line. So as I've talked about in my other videos, you can imply harmonic movement with chords and other things and still have like the bass line just as a pedal tone kind of. So that's what I was doing. This is in the key of A minor. So I just had the A going while I had some other chords moving against it, which is a really nice form of tension. I don't even know how else to describe it, but it's just, I've always loved music that does that, because it's not exactly what you would expect. You would sort of expect the bass line to be the one moving, but it's sort of like the opposite. So that is what I started with, and then it was this thing here. So this is one of my favorite noises ever. I found this patch called Thin Lead, and then I did stuff to it. It's been, again, 20 years, so I don't remember. I don't remember what I did, but I would always like tweak things and try to like make it, exactly what I was trying to hear. But this was a really good place to start. That's often how I do it. I don't necessarily have the skills yet to sort of generate a synth from just like a sine wave. I could do it, but it would probably take me like weeks to get the sound. Whereas if I load in a patch and then tweak it, I can find something within like 3 minutes. And that is what I kind of need, because if I've got an idea, I just need to get it down, But that's definitely a goal of mine. So this sound, I really love this sound, and I love the way it changes when I mess with these knobs here, the frequency for these filters. So it just becomes very expressive. So you can kind of hear it grow and change. And again, it's a little hard to see because of the color of this. Let's see if I can clip color. How about this? So you'll see this line. This is me sort of automating, changing the filter B frequency up and down as I'm also moving this other one up and down. So they kind of together created a very sort of organic sound, I think, to something that's very synthetic. Haha, No Control knows what thin lead sounds like. That's so great. Reason user. So yeah, I wanted each iteration, each 2-note little coupling to sound different than the one before it. And I really like how sometimes it sort of cries. It'll go like, yeah, it just made it feel, yeah, expressive. And then I wanted it to kind of like get softer and more round and sort of, well, I guess I did that later. Fade into the background a little bit and then get brighter. So this is going out throughout the entire song. And I introduce it kind of first. It's like the first theme we hear. It's very, very simple. It's just, hang on. Bear with me. So it's the tonic A going up to E, which is the 5th. So this melody is very, very open sounding because it's just 5th, 4th, back to the 5th, back to the 4th, to the 2nd, and then what is it? To the 7th, and then to the 5th. So if you've watched my Nine Inch Nails videos, you know I like to talk about third avoidance. I was totally doing that here on purpose because I wanted to introduce something that was sort of ambiguous in terms of whether it was major or minor, but I knew people probably would hear it as minor. And then I wanted to give people the payoff of the third with the chorus. I did kind of allude to it when these other chords come in, but that was sort of a choice I was making, is to sort of build up this anticipation, even if people weren't like aware of it. It's just something that I thought maybe some people might find it satisfying. So that's all that is. It's very, very simple. I love fifths and fourths. I write stuff with just fifths and fourths all the time. I like to harmonize with fifths and fourths. Fifths and fourths, that's hard to say. They sound very open. They sound ancient to me. There's something sort of otherworldly about them and also sort of sterile, but in a really cool way. They don't have a very human quality to me in some ways. Whereas a third feels very warm and human. Even if it's a minor third, it feels really human to me. I don't know exactly why, but so that's what that is. And then I got the drone going underneath it. And I have this little ditty here. So this is just, I called them dots because they remind me of dots. Now they kind of compete with the ping lead. So that was something that I struggled with, trying to bring them out without them being too loud. But I just wanted a little da-da-da-da-da-da. That probably does have a third in it, doesn't it? Yeah, so that's got a third. So that's a little bit more, I think, a little bit warmer because of that. It's got a little third in it. You can hear I put a delay. There's a delay on all of this, so maybe I should go into that. Man, this is going to be a long live stream, y'all. So the delay. So the delay is basically, it's an echo. That's the easiest way to describe it. And I love creating rhythmic interest with the delay. There's a lot of things you can do with a delay, can make it feel like it's far away, you know, like an echo. So same with reverb, it creates space in your mix, makes things feel like they're closer or further away. But it also can create rhythms. So my favorite rhythm, so you can set it to a specific rhythm, is the 3, which I think stands for, is it triplet eighth notes? Da, 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 da. Or is that triplet quarter notes? I always get those mixed up. But it's basically it's a 3 against 2. So this is our beat. da, 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 da. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Maybe not a great explanation, but that's called a hemiola. So that's just a fun way to say like sort of a polyrhythm or a polymeter. I also get those two confused a lot. So many terms, y'all. So that's kind of what I put on literally everything in this song. And that's my favorite because if you put it on the 2 or the 4 setting, then the echo is going to go da, 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 or da, 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 da. And it was too straight for me. I wanted syncopation. I wanted things to feel, more organic. So that's my favorite delay. And let's see if I can find one for you. Here. So I have 2 delays on this, I guess. Here's the delay 3 and delay 6. Delay 6 is like, twice as long as the delay 3. And then I started to add some sort of chords. So after I sort of introduce that main theme, then we get this. So these are actual triads. So now we have the 3rd, but they're really, really quiet. They're sort of buried under there. Adding some tension. Sort of implying a little bit of harmonic movement. So that starts to build. And then I automated some filter as well so that it kind of builds. So this is sort of buried, like I said, and it sort of starts to get brighter and louder. And then it sort of peaks, which brings us to kind of the climax or the chorus of the song. So I really like it when sounds are sort of underneath everything and then they start to like poke their head up. And you may not perceive them at first, but then suddenly they're swelling and then they overtake you. It's almost like you getting, it's sneaky, but it's sort of subliminal and then you're just surrounded. So here it starts to sort of peak. And then this is sort of the melody of this is like the main melody for me. So I really wanted to showcase that, but in my mix originally, it was kind of buried. So I really brought that out in the mix that I did in Logic. Underneath that is something that's also 3 against 2. Hope these are lined up. This is another one of my favorite synths. It just sounds so vocal, it sounds so organic. It's like, wow, wow. So, and then that part ended up sort of sneaking up on people too. And that sort of overtakes everything once this harp melody is done. And then the bass line. So the bass line, I never liked it. I could never figure out how to get it to come through and be full, but not be abrasive and annoying. And that's unfortunately what I ended up with. So here's the bass. Did not like. Not to say it's a bad sound, but it's just not what I wanted. I wanted something that was, I think what I was almost looking for is something more textured with a lot of a slower attack, but I just, So I'll show you what that ended up being. I think that's the main. So the drum beat, I'll show you a little bit about the drum beat. Let me just check on y'all in the chat. Got a K-Pax vibe. Nice. So here's what happens with the drum groove. So the drum groove does evolve. It just starts off really simple. Oh, why can I not hear you? Huh. Oh, because I have it soloed. Sorry. So I use the delay to make the drum groove more interesting as well. So at the beginning, there's no delay on it. And then I automated turning the delay on and off to sort of create these like additional rhythmic complexities. Where are we? There it is. Also, one of those 3 delays. And then that evolves. That's a little. So this little pattern is just for the end of a phrase. So this is sort of like preparing us for the next phrase. Then I added just sort of like an open hi-hat, but I also messed with that sound a lot. I wanted it to sound unusual, so it's very sizzly, very airy. And then, now this was a sound I never loved, but I couldn't find anything better, but I did eventually. But something on the 8th notes, just to give us a little more structure, and this is when everything's building. So that's a great way to build energy, is to start adding more percussive elements, just layering and layering and layering. And then I added these hi-hats. And I did some, so this is all programmed, but then I also went, there's a way that you, oh yeah, where is that little dot? There's a way to sort of, never mind, I can't find it. So then I added a double time section. That's something that I used to do all the time. It just, especially with these really slow tracks, it's just so much fun to kind of give it a different context. You could do that with a different chord. It's really easy to just switch to double time. But I wanted it to also have a halftime feel. So I basically kept, I moved the kick to double time, but I kind of kept a lot of the other things in halftime. So that was just kind of a fun, it's fun because you can like feel it fast and you can feel it slow. It's like one of my favorite kind of drum grooves is both halftime and double time. So that's kind of how that's built. And let's see if there are any other elements. Oh yeah, the distant sands. So this is a patch I might have not tweaked very much actually. It's just really good. So I had this sort of just going A to G down to D, which is like 4. So like 1, 7, 4. Also very kind of structural. And this is sort of implying a chord progression a little bit. And then in the chorus, we get my favorite chord progression, which is 4, one of my favorites. What is it? I forgot. I think it's that one. But we'll go look at the Logic session where everything makes sense. Double time, boy. Yeah. Was the glitch intentional? I'm not sure. What Siberia is this? A game? No, it's not a game. It's just what I named the track because I just imagined like a brutal but really beautiful icy landscape. I think I was imagining it from like another world, but I just thought of Siberia and I just stuck with it. All right, let's switch over to Logic. So that's kind of what I was working with. Really muddy mix. I really wanted to make it clear. So then I exported everything, brought it into Logic. And then the real work began. So as you can see, there's a lot of chopping up and automation. I went ahead and replaced the bass line. I'll show you kind of what I ended up with. I also added a sub bass. So I realized that I really wanted a little bit more low end than just the drone. So I'll show you kind of what that sounds like. So I just kind of wanted like, yeah, a little bit of a sub bass. What is that on the? It's on the and of 3. And then I finally found a bass that I liked, and here it is. wants it. His music is a lot of these just really, I don't even know how to describe it, but this is kind of a bass line from his music. Something real buzzy. I had to do all sorts of weird phase inversions on it because it was sounding so strange. I've learned a lot about phase. If you know about phase, then you know. All sorts of nerdy waveform things. Yeah, and then for the... Oh wait, here's the chorus. So now you can kind of hear the chorus. Here we go. Check on y'all. Oh, is the stream glitch? Gotcha. So, oh, this is so fun. So one of the things that I worked really hard on was this harp, because this is the main melody. So I'm going to sort of solo these tracks and just show you a little bit of what I did. And I guess we're running a little low on time here, but if you guys have any specific questions, now might be a good time to put those in the chat box. And if I can't get to them now, I can try to answer them in the comments afterwards. So I've got lots of different harp tracks duplicated to create different things. So maybe I'll just start here and work my way up. So this one is very atmospheric. It's kind of just like the wet signal, just like all the reverb and delay and everything. Oops. And we got that one. So that took surprisingly a lot of work, a lot of different layers, and I also automated the wet signal of the reverb and the sort of the delay, or the release. What's the right? Decay. So I lengthened the decay, so it sort of was like da 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 da. So kind of just like lasted for a really long time and sort of bled over into the next phrase. So I'm really happy with how these finally turned out, and I was able to bring them out. And I did a lot of this with all sorts of things. Maybe that'll be another session. Actually, I could do another one of these, but showing you kind of how I mixed it. I used isotope neutron a lot. So it's just a very powerful mixing tool. It's got lots of different EQs, exciters for high frequencies, compressors. I don't use the sculptor very much, but it's a really powerful tool. Money well spent. If you're feeling a little bit stuck with mixing, it might be worth it to save up or go ahead and just buy this, because if you're really at the beginning of your journey, you can use the track assistant, which will give you sort of a place to start with, and then you can tweak from there. But I couldn't have done this without Neutron. So thank you, Isotope. And I also used compressors for various things. A compressor, that took me such a long time to understand what on earth a compressor was. But essentially you squash the signal a little bit or a lot of bit. You can either do it all across the board, or you can have it trigger at certain decibels. And then once it's more kind of smushed together, the peaks and the lows are going to be a lot closer together. So you can sort of turn the volume up, so to speak, on that whole thing. And you can, if something has like a really loud attack and then a really soft decay, you could sort of even that out a little bit and bring the decay up by sort of squashing everything. It's probably easier to show like in an animation. But this is a really important thing to learn when you're mixing, because without compression, you're going to have audio out clipping. So you're going to see things going into the red, and you're going to have things that just feel unglued. I'm still learning a lot about compression, definitely not an expert, but I was able to learn enough to compress things to a way that felt pretty good to me, and also to learn how to sidechain compress. So basically when the kick hits, all of the low frequencies, the drone, and all the different bass lines, the sub bass, they all duck down basically in volume. So it makes room for the kick. Otherwise, you get what I had before, where the kick is competing with all of those low frequencies and just gets completely lost. Don't think I nailed it, but again, it's definitely in a much better place. Let's see how we're doing. Okay. Let me answer a few questions. What inspired the song's sound? Great question. I'm trying to remember. It was a very long time ago. I was listening to Enigma, so I think that was a part of it, to make music like that. I don't know. I guess in some ways trance. I was listening to a lot of melodic trance as well. So, I think the synths in this song are a little bit trancey, but again, it's overlaid on a halftime groove, so it works a little bit better. But I was just kind of following my gut. I just wanted to make something that felt epic and evocative. And I've always loved writing music for moods and scenes. I really would love to get into film scoring, actually. Have I ever had any feedback from Trent Reznor? No. Where can you buy this? Gaz asks. You can buy it on Bandcamp. Let me see if I can pull up my Bandcamp. Forget what I called it, because somebody already took the Ixie Music Bandcamp, so I had to get creative with like Ixie Musics with an X, I believe. Here we go. So I'm going to drop this link in the chat. It's to Banner Photo. So there's that. Okay. Would love to hear you analyze your mixing process, says Tony Sullivan. Okay, cool. Yeah, maybe we can do another video. I am learning how to mix, but I am happy to show you what I've learned and where I'm at, and even where I'm stuck. If anybody, wants to give feedback on that. Any artists you think are worth checking out? Oh, yes. Madani, Madanii, and Lucid, Lucid. They collaborate, or maybe it's, I think that's it. They're amazing. Listen to their song Sober. So good. Tunde, I always forget his last name. Tunde Olaniran. Just some of the most inventive, I don't even know what to call it. He raps, he sings. He has a song called Jean Grey that is just incredible. I love Kodak to Graph is incredible. Lorn, Lorn. Some other, there's a lot. Maybe I'll make a playlist. How am I not nervous during this? I'm always a little nervous at the beginning of the stream, and then I totally relax when I just remember why I'm doing it, and you all make me feel so comfortable and welcome. I've also been on stage a lot in my life. Not that that makes it easier, but I think I remember that I'll be okay, after just a minute. Am I working on any more new tracks? I am. There is another track from this era that I really want to release called Rainforest. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a slow house song, but it's got some very Japanese inspired sounds and a double bass, like a stand-up bass. It's just crazy. I just really want to share that with the world. But I'm also working on something with somebody else for collaborating. I was writing on the piano. I was improvising and trying to channel Trent Reznor. And it sounds nothing like, well, I've written one other thing that might sound like it, but I was trying to push myself outside the pretty zone, and it's pretty cool. So I'm excited about that. And then I have some ambient stuff, like with no groove, just very, very evocative. I really want people to use my music. I want them to set things to my music. I feel like that's what they're for, and dance to it. What rig do I use to make your music? Is it just your laptop? It's just my laptop. Yeah. I have this keyboard. If I move it, it unplugs. It's kind of old. My dad actually got this for me as well. My dad has been my biggest musical support system. So everybody, please thank my dad. I'm all grown up now, but he was instrumental, literally, in making all of this happen. So thank you, Dad. So I use an Arturia key step. It's just the 32 key. And then I have the Korg B2 88 key weighted keyboard. That's what I do all my videos with. And I also have an SSL2 Plus audio interface. But pretty much everything I do, it's all synthesized. I don't have any analog gear whatsoever. Not to say that I won't someday. What kind of film would you score if you could? Wow, that's a great question. Definitely not comedy. I could see sci-fi, thrillers, something interesting and abstract, like, Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, or that kind of thing. Yeah. But also like documentaries. I would love to score documentaries. Anything with like powerful imagery. I'm on a Mac, 2019 MacBook Pro. I have an interest in field recordings. Yes, I found sounds. Yeah, I recorded. I was at the Lassen Volcanic National Park a few years ago, and I only had my iPhone with me, but I recorded all these lava rocks. They were basalt, I think. There's like black and porous, and I recorded them because they made the most incredible crunchy noises I've ever heard. Like, I don't know if I have ASMR, but I felt like I had it when I was listening to it. I want to make something with those. Yeah. And also nature sounds. I've used nature sounds before. Yeah, it's pretty low tech. In fact, if you have GarageBand on a Mac, I mean, you actually have a very powerful program at your disposal. Don't even need a MIDI keyboard. I just play everything. I don't always play the drums. That's something I want to get better at. But yeah, I'm a pianist, so I'm just used to playing everything, and I really like capturing the very natural amplitudes, of how hard I'm hitting the keys and all that expression. I really want that in my music. So I like to play it, but you don't even need a MIDI keyboard. There are ways to input notes just in GarageBand, or Reaper, I think is like $60. It's for PC. Yes, basalt, not bath salts. Awesome. Yeah, plugins definitely help, but I am also learning like stock plugins can be extremely powerful as well. I'm really glad I have the Isotope suite that I have. But I really don't want to use it as a crutch. I still want to learn how to use all the stock plugins to do pretty much the same thing. It was just, I didn't have time, basically. I've been waiting all this time to release this music, and I just really wanted to put it out there. And it still took me 4 months to mix. So imagine if I had to do all of that with just stock plugins, I would still be working on Siberia. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, I hope that this was fun or educational or both. I can definitely do another session where I go over more of how I mixed things, if that would be fun for some of y'all. I can also, go over more about how I composed everything. But that's kind of the track. So just, shameless plug. If you haven't listened to it on Spotify, especially Spotify, I would love it if you would listen to it today before maybe before midnight, because I've learned that the first 24 hours of a track's life on Spotify is very important to whether or not it gets picked up by playlists, and sort of have the algorithm sort of help it. And obviously I would love to reach the right people. I want to reach the people who would love the song and who would feel something because of the song or want to dance to the song. So any streams you can give me would be amazing. And if you want to download it, Bandcamp is a great option, and you can download it for free, or you can pay something for it. And apparently it's on YouTube, but I didn't put it there. So I guess my distribution people did that, and that's Landr, Landr. That's who I used. Yeah. So last thing I'll say is if you've been holding on to music that you're scared to release, just do it, because there is no risk. The worst thing that can happen is some people won't like it, but that's nothing you need to worry about. Just find the people that will like it. Find the people that will be moved by it. There's always going to be people that are going to be moved by what you do. So just break through those fears, trust the process. You can do it, and the world will be better off with your music. This is the things I wish I could have told myself back then. So I'm telling you now. And this goes for anything that you want to do that you're afraid to do. You can do it. You really can. I'm proof, because I had one of the worst cases of perfectionism known to man. So, do I give piano lessons? I'm giving music theory lessons and ear training lessons on Zoom, but I haven't quite figured out how to teach piano over Zoom yet. But once I do, yeah, I'd be happy to do that. Beginner piano, though. I would say I'm an intermediate pianist, so I could definitely help a beginner. But if you're already pretty solid on piano, I might not be the right fit. What about releasing songs you can't finish? I have 20 years of half-finished songs. I have the same. I do. Maybe collaborate with somebody. Maybe somebody knows how to take those songs to the next level. Maybe somebody will hear it and go, oh, I know exactly how to make this into a whole song. So I'll remember that too. Maybe you and I can pair up. We can finish each other's songs instead of each other's sentences. Wonderful. And Don Smith says, is there such a thing as a finished song? Great point. At some point, you really do just have to be like, okay, I gave myself a deadline with Siberia. I was like, you know what? I could work on this for another 20 years and I would not be any happier. And nobody would hear it. So I just had to draw the line somewhere where I was like, this is good enough that it says what I want to say. It may not be to its fullest potential, but it's good enough, and you have to decide that for yourself. Do I have any interest in doing music for video games? Maybe. I don't play video games. So I keep thinking that in order to write for video games, I would have to play them. And I don't know if I want to, because I feel like my personality, I might get kind of sucked into that. And I have to be very careful with how I manage my time. I love that game. Oh, what's it called? I can't remember. Oh, well, shouldn't have said that if I didn't remember what the game is called. But there are some games I like, but they have to be really abstract, I think. But yeah, I'm interested. I'm definitely interested. Wonderful. Okay, everybody, I am going to let you go. But thank you so much for joining me. That was so amazing. Thank you for your comments and your questions. I will try to answer things. I can look at the chat replay and try to answer things, but I am feeling a little bit stretched thin in terms of communication these days. So I do appreciate your patience if I'm not able to get to something. It doesn't mean I don't want to. And yes, I am an Aquarius. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much. I hope you liked the closer video. I'm going to get back to doing every Monday on April 12th. So no video this coming Monday, just because I need at least a week to get back on track. But yeah, awesome. Okay, well, I hope you have a good night, evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you are. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, and thank you for listening to my song. It means so much to me. I definitely cried this morning seeing people listening to it. So, all right. Bye, everybody. Mwah.